Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Vinland Saga. Last time around we had the light of dawn. The beautiful light of dawn that sponged away any talk of shipping Thorfinn and Canute because things kind of got serious and it felt hardly the time to talk about ships, or boats for that matter. So we had a bit with the priest, first off, where he was talking to two of the dudes, and they were still trying to understand love, and they had like a really, really solid example, they thought, and he was like, maybe not, it doesn't seem like what I do, so who knows. And of course that was frustrating to them. He then heard the tale of Thor's, a true warrior who does not fight with a sword, and he was very interested in that. But then we saw a nice little village, which is kind of the worst thing you can see in this show, because nothing good comes from seeing a nice little village. Because, we had a nice little village where this family was talking about God and the devil and worshiping God and, staying out of hell and everything. And one of the young daughters was conflicted because she had, in her mind, she had sinned for stealing a pretty ring and she couldn't let it go. And then all of her family and the entire village was killed by Askeladd and his men, so it was rough. It was rough. It was a rough episode, but you know what? Literally every so often, they got to do that in order to remind us what show we're watching. So, yeah. Anywho, like always, the reaction is down in the description and the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of Vinland Saga. Here we go. Well, if that just ain't another wrinkle. Good grief, man. Oh, man, I'd completely forgotten about the whole thing of like, we gotta separate Canute from Ragnar. Man, he had a great last meal. He met his son's boyfriend and had dinner with him. He seemed decently approving of his son's boyfriend, so... And, of course, killed by the English. I wonder if Thorfinn will kind of piece it together that Askeladd killed Ragnar, The thing, too, he pieced it together at exactly the right point. Because, they say, like, oh, geez, you're really slow. But Askeladd knew exactly when Ragnar would piece it together because he had one of his men hide in the snow so that he could hit him with a spear in the back. I don't know if that's just, anime coincidence or Askeladd is just that smart. I don't know. I'm willing to lean both ways, honestly. So is Canute, and Thorfinn for that matter. Well, I suppose they swing one way, but it ain't the way that most men swing, so. And that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. You know how last episode I was like, I'm going to stop talking about them being boyfriends for a while? Yeah. That's all out the window. They're going to need another depressing episode before I forget about that. So, man, he's going to need Thorfinn now more than ever. And Thorfinn just does not care. That's the thing, Thorfinn doesn't actually care. Canute doesn't really care about Thorfinn either, but still. All this talk of a father's love. His father did love him. His father is Ragnar, clearly. It's Ragnar, not King Sven. Siwin, the king of Denmark. It's clearly not him. So now we have to deal with the king and Harold both being enemies. Although I guess Harold's not really in on it per se. Like, I mean, he's in on it. Oh, that'd actually be kind of cool. I was gonna say, it's like he's in on it in the same way that, like, Stannis Baratheon was in on it. Is Stannis a really interesting character in Game of Thrones that they just didn't really have anything to do for? They didn't really give him anything to do at the end, you know? Because it is sort of like that of like, you know, I suppose it's sort of like Stannis and Renly, except Canute is not like Renly at all. But yeah, I would say Harold is probably like, he's probably not necessarily malicious towards his younger brother, but he's probably, but I mean, he probably looks at him as just simple opposition, you know, that he is older, therefore he will inherit the throne of Denmark and eventually the throne of England as well, because it is his right. There is no more, you know, he would be next in line specifically. So yeah. Sorry, now I'm just thinking of Stannis Baratheon, and I'm getting distracted. So, yeah. Poor Ragnar. You want to talk about a father's love, though? Ragnar. I liked that whole thing, though, with, you know, the doubt and Canute standing up and being like, no, you shouldn't doubt that. Every father loves his children. I like that did affect Thorfinn a little bit, you know? He thought of his own father, you know? So that was cool. I did enjoy that. But, I mean, it's such a difficult thing for Canute because, again, it's like, of all the people here who we've seen the fathers of, like, he's kind of got the worst one. And I know there's only, like, one other, being Thorfinn, but, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting... You could almost say it's an interesting juxtaposition of them, of, like, you know, Canute is so incredibly sheltered, but, you know, he did not really have his father's love. He didn't have his father's approval of anything, you know. His father was just a miserable old man, you know. Whereas Thorfinn now is this sort of, you know, hardened, depressed almost warrior, you know. But his father, you know, was so kind and so loving, you know. So it's a kind of, like, interesting juxtaposition of, like, honestly, like, with the way they are right now, you would think that Canute was the son of Thor's, you know, without the strength and everything, whereas Thorfinn would probably be the son of the king, you know, the hardened, you know, miserable old man, you know. So it's just sort of an interesting juxtaposition there. But they have both basically strayed away from their fathers so much. But even then, at the same time, you know, you could say they haven't as well, because with Canute especially, you know, it's like, well, has he strayed away from his father? No, but that's if you don't count the king as his true father. Yes, he's his biological father, but the man who raised Canute is Ragnar, you know? And in the same way that while, yes, there is a sort of, you know, hardened heart, basically, within Thorfinn, he does still, to an extent, I would say, he acts in accordance with his father, you know? At least what he thinks, you know? He looks at it as like, well, you know, I'm not actually here to... I'm not joining Askeladd, you know, I'm here, I will kill him one day, I will get my revenge, you know? And, you know, he's looking at a lot of, I guess a lot of the surface level things that his father taught him about Vikings and everything, but he's not looking past that as the problem, which is what, you know, in the dream, basically, when he had the dream of his father, and actually twice he's had a dream of his father, and both times Thors has said, you know, you need to give up on this revenge. You don't have any enemies, you know? So it's an interesting thing. It's like they're both straying and not straying from their fathers, in a sense, you know? Like, there's a very interesting sort of, I guess, almost a parallel, I would suppose, between them. I mean, they were definitely both written so that you would compare them, especially being the same age, you know? Being the same age, even if they are from wildly different situations, they're both in this village, you know, eating rabbit stew in this house that they commandeered from people they killed, you know? From people that Askeladd killed. Like, they're both in the same situation, even from how different their upbringings were, you know? So that's really interesting. And so, yeah, just on that, it's really, really great. And if I would just shut up about boyfriends, it would be great. It would be even better. If I would just stop being stupid. But that's the problem. That's the problem with, namely being on YouTube, is I'm just going to sit here being stupid. So, all that stuff, you know, all that possibly insightful stuff I may have just said, yes, I'm also a YouTube idiot, though, so. Take everything I say, I suppose, with a grain of salt, so. I don't know. So, I do like, though, that, you know, with the whole things, with doubts and everything, with Askeladd and stuff, I like, you know, getting this moment of, like, you know, he implements this plan that he did discuss with Bjorn, and then I like that now there's a wrinkle in whatever plans he's been concocting, you know? Like, oh, you have to be careful because of Harold. You know, Harold is the other faction trying to, you know, vying for the throne, and the king wants Canute dead so that Harold can ascend. So, and I like Askeladd just sort of standing there like, well, damn it, why didn't you tell me earlier? Because now he has to deal with that. So I do kind of like that. There's just that little wrinkle for Askeladd to now adapt to. But yeah. So really, really good stuff. Unfortunately, the death of Ragnar. But I imagine this will be our sort of Uncle Ben death for Canute. I hope it is. And now Canute will shine. It's just whether or not that, you know, if he's going to grow up and shine, if that's going to be, you know, all according to Askeladd's plan, or if he's going to figure something out, I don't know. Can he and Thorfinn just run away to Vinland and just, you know, sit in the lilies and bang a lot? I don't know. Tune in next week and we're going to see if I ruin the next episode. I don't know. Am I going to get any better by next episode? I don't know. Probably not. With all of that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my Vinland Saga reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.